In her case, she was the most popular player in the league, which means she could have helped your bottom line. You should have recognized this from day one and taken full advantage of it, but you didn't, Stephen A. Smith didn't just stir things up, he launched a verbal tirade on the WNBA's top brass and gatekeeping veterans like Sheryl Swoopes. The ESPN personality criticized the league for its lackadaisical treatment of its most important players. This wasn't just sports commentary, it was a moral critique of how women's basketball is squandering its greatest chance in decades. Let's face it, Caitlin Clark, the people's champion, just revealed that she and the Fever will be appearing on national television for 41 of 44 games this year. The other teams are moving their games to NBA arenas so they can sell more tickets. What about that Angel Reese? I think she might dislocate her shoulder. You want some butter with that bread, butter, 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 butter. Here's the truth. Caitlin Clark is doing something that no other WNBA player has ever done before. She's not just putting up numbers, she's bringing millions of people to the screen, packing arenas like it's the NBA Finals and making women's basketball cool for a whole new generation. However, rather than celebrating this, the WNBA under Commissioner Kathy Angelberg seems to be moving slowly, and instead of encouraging Clark's ascent, they're throwing cold water on the fire she started. You didn't want to. You were a little hesitant and resistant to it so much, so you didn't push for her to be on Team USA so much. Smith, who didn't even want to mention her name, wasn't holding back when he criticized the league's leadership for failing to seize an opportunity that could permanently alter the WNBA's revenue and visibility in a league that sorely needs public attention. Smith claims that the league is essentially sleepwalking through the Caitlin Clark revolution, which isn't just bad strategy, it's self-sabotage. Everyone complains about other NBA WNBA players not being valued, but no one insulted them or discounted their contributions. Many people didn't care whether it was fair or not until Caitlin the Clark appeared. Let's talk about brass tacks. Clark isn't a media fabrication, she's the real deal Rookie of the Year for the WNBA first team. Yes, but she's also the face of a WNBA surge that is making headlines around the world. How has the league treated her? A shrug, no press splits, no highlight reel rollouts, just a small phone call telling her she won Rookie of the Year. In contrast, veteran players receive lesser recognition, such as confetti and catered events. Clark's resume already boasts awards like Forbes 30 Under 30, SBJ Sportsperson of the Year, AP Female Athlete of the Year, Time Athlete of the Year, and more. She has even taken the initiative to promote women's sports through high-profile appearances and speaking engagements. Other leagues recognize her value, but the WNBA seems reluctant to acknowledge that the league's entire business model is now centered around her. If you went the other way, it could have had that much of an impact, and made it possible for you to be in a stronger position to get yours, but you didn't do it. You didn't do it. Wow, Smith's tirade wasn't just a hot take, it was a mirror reflection of what many fans have been saying on social media for months. Caitlin Clark is a generational player, and rather than welcoming her, the league is treating her like a bother, as if she's upsetting some unwritten hierarchy that players like A'ja Wilson and WNBA legend Sheryl Swoopes herself. While WNBA veterans like Swoopes continue to throw shade from the sidelines, downplaying Clark's accomplishments and suggesting her hype is manufactured, Commissioner Kathy Angelberg Smith was very clear that her leadership is the problem. Her awkward media appearances filled with generic talking points and vague promises scream of someone out of touch with what's really happening. When asked about Clark, Angelberg offers textbook PR sound bites instead of the clear strategy fans and players are pleading for. However, Smith sees through that noise. He knows jealousy when he sees it, and more importantly, he knows that in you know basketball better than I do, you know basketball better than any commentator, and you know basketball better than the majority of men who play basketball. There is no way in hell that you just happened to leave Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know that. Stop it. If the WNBA keeps acting like Caitlin Clark is just another rookie, they're not just making a mistake, they're destroying their best opportunity to promote. Smith is raising the alarm because someone has to, and fans and sponsors are listening. The question is, will the WNBA finally wake up? I think there is a debate about who was the league's Rookie of the Year last year. Imagine being that naive. She saved the league from going bankrupt. There are no TV deals, no ad sponsorships, no shoe deals for you. Angel Reese, no McDonald's money. The league is losing millions of dollars annually, and she saved them from going bankrupt. She's like that, but let's not pretend this is just about Sheryl Swoopes. One of the league's founding icons has a habit of criticizing Clark under the pretext of protecting the game. She has repeatedly downplayed Clark's impact, suggested that she is overhyped, and even hinted that she hasn't earned her spotlight. The subtext is, this league belongs to the veterans and the rookies should know their place. If you were a WNBA MVP, would you consider each of those 3 seasons as dominant seasons for yourself? No, I can't, bro. In his trademark style, Smith slammed the gatekeeping mindset and called it counterproductive jealousy before she even acknowledged that Caitlyn is dominant. He stated bluntly that Clark has already garnered more media attention, fan interest, and brand value than the majority of WNBA players will in their careers. Not because she's loud or showy, but because she's producing on the court in the box office ratings. To be clear, Smith's tirade wasn't anti-WNBA, rather it was a passionate plea for the league to stop shooting itself in the foot. He called Clark the ticket out of obscurity, begged the league to stop allowing personal agendas to impede progress. His message was straightforward. You don't have to like Caitlyn Clark to benefit from what she's doing for the game. Everyone is watching how the WNBA handles its biggest star, and if they blow it, it won't just be a missed opportunity, it will be a marketing disaster. Are you willing to acknowledge how foolish it was for you all to not put your all into speaking your piece to elevate Caitlyn Clark so that even more attention could have come and you guys could have reaped the benefits? Now you're going to do it anyhow, and I understand that, but you get my point, Caitlyn. If Kathy Angelberg and Sheryl Swoopes continue to drag their feet, they may just watch from the sidelines as the most significant moment in WNBA history passes them by. However, if they wake up now, swallow their pride, and support the phenomenon that fans are already obsessed with, this league could explode in ways they've only dreamed of. In addition to dominating on the court, Clark is redefining what it means to be a marketable athlete in women's sports. The endorsements, sold-out crowds, and cultural buzz all shout superstar. The outrage surrounding the WNBA's leadership reached a whole new level when Commissioner Kathy Angelberg stood in front of a national audience. Fans were ready to hear a bold, forward-thinking plan for the league's future, but instead of clarity or conviction, Angelberg delivered a vague jumble of corporate speak that left everyone more confused than informed. Her recent interviews on 60 Minutes and CNBC's Power Lunch didn't inspire confidence. Instead, they confirmed just how low. Let's start with the 60 Minutes interview. When asked directly about Caitlyn Clark's unprecedented impact on the league, Angelberg had the ideal opportunity to acknowledge the generational force reshaping the WNBA. But instead she dismissed the moment with a bland soundbite. I noticed that when you ask about Caitlyn, you frequently bring up other rookies as well. No league is ever about one player that player could get hurt or anything. So I believe it's just to show that people watch sports for compelling stories. There was a great chance to capitalize on the Clark phenomenon, but instead Angelberg pretended that everything was going as usual. Fans were furious on social media, asking how the league could be so out of touch. Clark is the reason arenas are selling out, the reason millions of new fans are watching, and she is the lightning rod that women's basketball has been waiting decades for. But instead of celebrating her, the WNBA's own commissioner downplayed her, which was a PR disaster that sparked even more. When asked about the rise in rivalries in viewership, Angelberg diverted into buzzwords and evasive promises, offering no specific plans for improving officiating, protecting players, or addressing fairness on the court. It felt like a press release on how league leadership really understands the moment they're in, one white, one black. However, I do know that rivalry is what makes sports interesting. People want to watch games of consequence between rivals and don't want everyone to be nice to one another. While Angelberg talks marketing, Caitlyn Clark is getting body checked on live TV, and the officiating has been wildly inconsistent, leaving fans and players wondering which version of the rulebook is in effect. Meanwhile, fans are pleading for action rather than taglines. And this wasn't just a swing and a miss, it was a complete disconnect from the issues that matter most to players and viewers alike. It's a balance, but corporate partners are also stepping up to endorse these players much more than they were 5 years ago. will show up every night for a star like Clark, whose game is based on speed, accuracy, and rim attacks. This inconsistency makes her an easy target, and it's not just unfair, it's dangerous. For instance, in one game, Clark was given a technical foul for slapping the ring post. Yes, you read that right. Caitlin Clark received a technical after I hit the backboard because I was upset with myself for missing the three. He told me that it was disrespectful to the game of basketball, and the video went viral not only because it was ridiculous but also because it exposed fans of the double standard. Asked right away, would Diana Taurasi have been hit with the same call? Of course, let's not play the video, but Michael in that group, Kennedy Carter almost picks off the pass, Diana Taurasi will count the bucket, and Antoine coming up for DT aren't isolated incidents. They're signs of a league more focused on appearances than solutions. Rather than addressing the growing officiating mess, the WNBA seems fixated on escalating rivalries and creating drama. But fans don't want drama. They want fairness. They want respect for the game. They want an organization that takes its stars seriously and safeguards its future. If there's one area in which the WNBA has really failed, it's player safety. Caitlin Clark's historic rookie season was not only full of incredible threes and record-breaking stats, but it was also a torturous endurance test. Game after game, Clark took hits that weren't just aggressive, they were downright dangerous, and the league did very little to address it. The warning signs were flashing in neon, but the WNBA hasn't taken any significant action to safeguard its most valuable player. Yes, the one thing I know as a lifelong sports fan is that officiating and refereeing are always at the top of a rate. When it comes to specifics, some of the fouls that Clark has been subjected to wouldn't be acceptable in a pickup game, let alone in a professional league. Analysts are calling it out, fans are posting videos that go viral in minutes, and the league ignores it. There are no official reviews or announcements, just silence. If the league isn't going to protect its most visible player now, then if you want a clear example, take one of Clark's most dubious fouls this season and compare it to a similar situation in the NBA. A similar hit would have immediately resulted in a flagrant review or even an ejection, but in the WNBA, Clark hardly receives a whistle. This kind of unfair treatment not only puts players at risk but also damages the league's officiating reputation overall. Let's play this again because this time you can see that Williams crushed LaMelo and that Grant Williams was ejected for it. Clark's debut was more than just a viral moment, it was a full-blown marketing goldmine, and instead of grasping it, the WNBA let it go by like a fast break without a finish. These aren't just drop balls, they're full-blown turnovers in a league that can't afford to lose possession for a league that is hungry for growth. Clark was the turbo boost, but leadership seemed unsure whether to slam the brakes or press the gas, which leads to a more serious problem for the league's overall direction if they continue to prioritize PR soundbites and fluffy slogans over significant changes to infrastructure and culture. The WNBA's narrative this year felt hollow, and while rivalries do sell tickets, what about the deeper emotional pull that comes from understanding an athlete's journey? They are the rarest of opportunities, a true game changer. The question now isn't whether she can carry the spotlight, but rather whether the league has the capacity and the will to meet her halfway. This league could actually be that dense professional league, guys. We're not talking about a rec league, we're not talking about even a high school team, and no one thinks that nobody is that lost. Didn't appear out of nowhere, she had a pre-existing story that millions of people had followed since Iowa, and instead of leveraging it to raise the league's profile, the WNBA seemed content to let it coast on social media memes and highlight reels. It's an amazing moment for our game on a global scale, and the fans are amazing. When we travel too, a lot of people show up in fever gear, which is really affecting teams all across our league, which is a really great thing, and I believe we're just scratching the surface. The league should have been prepared with a full media blitz to capitalize, but instead we got silence from leadership, tone-deaf interviews from Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, and a tone that said, "We're not quite sure what to do with this success." Clark's rookie campaign was a playbook for what could have happened. Her presence brought in huge crowds. Surface Clark's magic wasn't limited to herself, her gravity drew in fans who had never seen a WNBA game in their lives. shifted viewership numbers and gave the WNBA a foothold in a broader sports conversation, but the league's incapacity or unwillingness to match that energy has left fans frustrated and wondering what's next. We're attracting more and more fans to this league, including people who may have never watched the WNBA before, and at times it's kind of astounds you. It's evident that Caitlin Clark has demonstrated what the WNBA could be, a place where women's sports take center stage, where athletes are celebrated at the highest level and where the next generation is inspired by what they see. But that only works if the league supports the infrastructure behind the scenes that entail better officiating, stronger player safety policies, and marketing campaigns that don't miss the mark when the spotlight is at its brightest. Therefore, we are at a critical juncture. Will the WNBA develop into the league Clark has helped elevate, or will it revert to its previous practices, wasting yet another fantastic opportunity? The ball is in the league's court, and fans everywhere are watching intently. What do you think? Please share your thoughts in the comments section, click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.